Hey, welcome back. Thank you for being so patient while I recovered from being sick and I had a lot of teaching to catch up on. So thank you so much for waiting for me for this last BTS member react. We're going to do V. A lot of you requested Christmas tree, so I'm going to go ahead and do that one for you. Let's have a listen.
In this moment, I see you. It always comes around as I believed. When the rain stops, you shine on me. Your light's the only thing that keeps the cold out. Moon in the summer night, whispering of the stars, to singing like Christmas trees for us. So I tell you a million tiny things that you have never known. It all gets tangled up inside, and I tell you a million little reasons falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are. It's such a strange thing to do. Sometimes I don't understand you, but it always brings me back to where you are. So I tell you a million tiny things that you have never known. It all gets tangled up inside, and I tell you a million little reasons falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are. Tell you a million tiny things that you have never known. It all gets tangled up inside. Tell you a million little reasons falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are.
What I love so much about V, it has this unique tone quality that I just can't figure out. And I know it's just his voice, so there's nothing really to figure out, but I just love it. I think it's really, really different and something that a lot of people would work on kind of as a character voice type sound. But I know it's just his natural voice. So it's just really interesting for me as a voice teacher. So I will be touching on that. The sound that I'm talking about, it's really interesting how when he changes his register, so when we're talking registers, is our chest register, we have our head register. In between, we have the zone where you can mix. So you can either push your chest range up a bit higher and make it into a chest mix, or you can swap over to a lower version of your head voice and have it as a head mix. So it has a much kind of sharper, stronger sound to it than the rest of a more area head voice that we would talk about. So when he's changing his registers here, you can hear quite clearly when he's changed his register. And it's not to say that his voice is cracking or breaking. It's nothing like that. It's not that any of those registers are unsupported. It's really interesting that when he changes those registers, the tonality, that quality that I'm talking about in his voice changes a lot. So when he's in his head register, I can hear a lot less of the tone quality that sounds something like this. Ha, ha, ha. It's almost like he's raising his larynx and or creating a narrower vocal column. When I'm talking about a vocal column, the compressed air comes up from our lungs, it hits our vocal folds, and they become vibrations and sound waves instead of air. It then has to come up and out through our mouth or through our nasal channel. And we have a soft palate that we can use to close off the nasal channel if we want to for different resonating factors. What he's doing is keeping the soft palate, which sits kind of about here. We can raise that to close off the nasal channel. We can raise it a little bit if we want airier qualities, if we want slightly different resonators coming out. He's keeping it super low, and I feel like when I try to mimic that sound, I'm raising the base of my tongue as well to make that column even more narrow. I don't think for him he's specifically doing anything purposefully. I think it's just the sound of his voice, and it's so unique. But as he's going into that head register, the anatomy is forcing him to raise that soft palate a little bit. You lose some of that more character voice quality that I'm talking about. So just listen for it. Listen for when he goes into that upper register, how the sound changes in his speech. It seems to be that tone quality is more dominant in his chest mix area. That's where I hear it most, and I go, oh, that's V's voice. You know that is him. Just listen to it as we go through, and I might stop and point out where I kind of hear the significant changes for you, so you can go back and listen and see if you agree with me. There's a couple of other techniques in here that I really love, and of course, at the end, I'll go over a couple of sound production bits that I noticed throughout this, because I think it's important if you are looking to be a singer or a recording artist that you understand that it is heavily edited and perfected. So let's go over it, and yeah, I will do my best.
In this moment, I see you. It always comes around as I believed. When the rain stops, you shine on me. Your light's the only thing that keeps the cold out.
Okay, let's take a pause here. That first verse is such a prime example of that tonal quality that I'm talking about for V's voice. So it's that really recognizable sound that we know and love to be V's voice. So that specific sound is what I'm talking about with narrowing of that column. He's also doing a lot of lovely vocal fries at the beginning of some of these phrases just to add texture and emotion, and I think he's done it really well. Vocal fry is when our vocal folds are at their most relaxed state, and it sounds like this. Ah. So when you're trying to do that on a note, it can be quite tricky. Or lost it on the end. The control he has over his vocal fry here is really great, and I am just loving the texture that it's adding to the song.
Always comes around as I believed. When the rain stops, you shine on me. Your light's the only thing that keeps the cold out.
He also uses that one that we just passed, that vocal fry passage there, to do a little slide up to the note. You're always da 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 da. Slides are great stylistic vocal choices, especially in pop and contemporary music, and I love the placement of it.
Moon in the summer night, whispering of the stars, to singing like Christmas trees for us. So I tell you a million tiny things that you.
So this is where he transitioned into that head register. You can hear slight less of the her quality that he has to his voice when he changes here. It's airy enough and high enough that I don't consider this to be a head mix for him, though it does still have some strength behind it. It's a beautiful sound. It's all well supported. The notes aren't flaking out at any point. He's hitting them really accurately. So yeah, it's a great head voice.
I've never known it all gets tangled up inside, and I tell you a million little reasons I'm falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are. It's such a stranger thing to do. Sometimes I don't understand you, but it.
I love that part of vocal fry so much. So again, it's vocal fry, it's sound, and he's doing it at the beginning, and it just sounds so good and so delicate and emotive for this.
It always brings me back to
video in this bit, where do I start? The first K-drama I ever saw was Hwarang. Sorry, I can't pronounce it very well. But that was the first K-drama I ever saw, and I loved it. And I cried at the end of the drama, and this kind of costume just reminds me of that so much. I also love that he is hitting these notes. The fact that he's lost kind of some of the pronunciation on these, that naturally happens when we have to add in more air and go higher up in our head voice. I do think these notes are a slight push for him. I think he has had to work on these. I think he's had to practice these. Not to say he can't get them, he's hitting them well, but some of them, the glottal attack on these notes just isn't quite there at the beginning. What I mean by that is glottal attack is the start of the notes and the first contraction of sound. It's that immediate release of the sound when we first start to use our vocal folds and how the sound comes out. He just has a lot of air before the actual note comes out. It's just very breathy at the start there. So that's why I think these notes are maybe just quite high up in his range for him, maybe the top of his range for him. I wouldn't expect him to be able to push it that much higher than this, but they are really nice clear notes when those notes are coming out. The pitch is clear, they are quite well sustained, a little bit squeaky, but like I say, this is high up in his head range for him, I believe.
언젠가 더 부러운 바람에 마음이 날아다녀도 기다릴게. So I tell you a million tiny things that you have never known. It all gets tangled up inside, and I tell you a million little reasons falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are.
So I've just noticed here, he doesn't do a forced flip. Instead, he's doing them a lot more clear cut. Da 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 da. He's finishing the end of that first note in his chest mix range before starting in his head voice. I don't know why, maybe it's a stylistic choice to keep the smoothness of this song going instead of doing a vocal flip, which is a lot more obvious change. I guess that's why. It does sound really smooth because I didn't notice it until the end here, and yeah, something if someone had done a vocal flip, I would have noticed.
Tell you a million tiny things that you have never known. It all gets tangled up inside. Tell you a million little reasons falling for your eyes. I just want to be where you are.
Okay, I really wanted you guys to pay attention to that last bit. If you didn't, go back, pay attention to it when he doesn't have the music playing. So this is because I'm going to talk about sound techniques. So if you don't like the production side of what I do, then thanks for coming, and hopefully I'll see you next time. If you do like the sound production part of what I do, then this is for you. So this part has got a lot of reverb on it. Reverb is an echoey kind of sound that we use to increase the harmonics in our voice, the overtones in our voice, make it sound like you're in a church or a hall, and just fill out a lot of space. You can choose as well how much delay you have on the reverb. It depends on how quickly you want those frequencies to come in, how long you want the delay there to be, and how long they then linger on for. You can change the size of the reverb. You can change the low frequency gain and the high frequency gain. You can literally change so many things with reverb, and it will give the voice a whole different sound. It also helps, because you're pulling up all these harmonics, to reduce any kind of pitch discrepancies that you might hear. Because it has a fuller, more rounded sound, you're less likely to pick up on any pitch discrepancy harmonies. Having said that, this will be auto-tuned anyway. Any singer in their right mind would not use auto-tune. In this day and age, it is just a no-brainer. Because when we're singing into a condenser microphone, which is what we use when we're recording, it is literally taking every single sound wave that we have and sucking it straight in. It doesn't take much into consideration when we're talking about natural acoustics that you might have when you're singing in a room and you think you sound great. Record it into a condenser mic, I guarantee you will not sound as nice. So auto-tuning is a big part of current vocal production, and I think it should be. It is better for the quality of our sound, and when you hear someone live, they will still sound good because it's a whole different space. It's probably the main part of sound production that I'm hearing here. After this, it went on to his Christmas playlist. I didn't know V had a Christmas playlist. I didn't know he did Christmas music and Christmas songs. I thought it was great. So come November, December, that is probably what I'll be playing around my house. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please do comment below if you have any questions of things that I didn't pick up on that you want me to talk about, or things I did talk about that you want me to talk about more. then yeah, go ahead, put a comment down there. I'll probably take a little break now from doing K-pop just because it's been a long few weeks of K-pop for me. And then I will come back to it later on because I've still got some more requests to do for you. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.